Welcome to the Virtual Ball Boys podcast. My name is Chris, and I am joined once again by my good friend, Matt.
Not quarterback. Fuck. Head coach Matt Nagy has been fired by the Chicago Bears. Welcome to Matt Watch. My longest, yayest Matt Watch ever.
Yeah, because we're gonna get to that later in the show, but we had to start it now because it truly will be like the longest Matt Watch ever. This whole podcast essentially has become one big Matt Watch, even when we're not talking about the Matts all the time. You know what I mean?
Right.
You know, that's just where it's at. It's been.
I fucking murder my ukulele whenever I do a Matt Watch.
Yeah, you sound like you go really hard on it every single time, and it actually sounds like it almost sounds like it's like going out of tune a little bit, like the strings are about to pop off even.
Yeah, which is weird because they're plastic.
Oh yeah, that would be even weirder. There's so much to talk about. This is gonna be probably I would say this will be our biggest episode of the year. I know the Super Bowl usually is a big deal. You know, Super Bowl recap, like that 2-week stretch is always, you know, it's a good time. But in terms of content, in terms of shit that we got to cover and talk about and everything that happened in the last, 72 hours or so, if you want to, I don't even know. Like, it's been a whirlwind. Let's just put it that way. And so we have a lot to discuss, just recaps and firings, and then we're going to go into the wild card. We've been teasing it. We're going to officially assign video games to different teams, and we'll go into details about that. And of course, we'll start our playoff picks off right with 6 games this weekend. But Matt, we have to start with the Chargers at Raiders game.
Not just game of the week, game of the season.
Yeah,
I will not hear any other arguments.
Yeah, it's funny because we had. Was it last week?
It was last week or 2 weeks ago where we were talking about, hey, these were the games of the season. Not anymore.
Yes. It was 2 weeks ago. We were like, all right, yeah, what was our favorite game of the season? Yeah, no, this was an all-timer. In terms of not just what happened on the field, but just the kind of the circumstances around it. And I actually, you know what? Real quick, before we go into Chargers and Raiders, I feel like in order to best set this stage,
yes.
I feel like I need to start with our chaos.
Of course.
Because,
I know exactly where you're going with this.
Yeah, because going into this week, we talked about this idea of Chargers-Raiders. Basically, if you had this unbelievable, no way it's going to happen situation where the Jaguars beat the Colts, just in that situation, you would have it where the Chargers and Raiders could tie, and then they would both be in, and whoever would win that game, mainly if it was the Steelers that won, that whoever was left out of that, if the Chargers and Raiders tied, they would be in, and that last team would be out, even with the joy that the Steelers or Ravens would have in winning that football game earlier today. But all of us, we of course, we were hoping for some chaos in some capacity. But I think you and I kind of agreed that, like, oh man, I don't think it's going to happen, first of all, and two, I would hate for it to happen to Jonathan Taylor, and after such a great season, and then seeing this Colts team, like how much we've talked about them being this team that no one wanted to face in the playoffs, and that they're going to be so good, and it's going to be so hard to take them out because they're so balanced and all that. And then we get to Sunday, and we get to 1 p.m., and the Jaguars go up 7-0, and I'm already thinking to myself, I'm like, oh no, oh my god, this shit's happening. And folks, it happened. Not only did it happen, but the Jaguars spanked the Colts.
Yep, we talk. Thank you for using spanked.
Yeah, it was a spanking. This
time the kiddies were doing the spanking, though.
Right, yes, exactly. Like, the Jaguars have been getting spanked all time, and you know where our asses are red enough? It's time for us to get these blue horses some red asses, alright? You know what I mean? Like, it is time for the Colts I think you brought up the stat that the Jags have this unbelievable home winning streak against the Colts. It's so bizarre considering how wild of a ride the Jaguars have been over the last 6 or 7 years, mostly bad, with the one exception of the 2017 year when they went to the fucking AFC Championship game, which is just mind-blowing. But the fact that not only did their defense turn up, which has happened before earlier in the year when they faced the Bills and knocked the Bills off, but that Trevor Lawrence, this guy that we have been hoping to see be a game changer, who has just been nothing this entire year, came out and he was fantastic. He was making these beautiful throws to wide receivers that are no-name wide receivers and just players that generally had not helped Trevor Lawrence all season. This time around, they were helping him. And the Jaguars give them credit they fucking knocked off a AFC contender.
Yeah. Legitimately, if the Colts made it to the playoffs, I would have a hard time with them because I would be tempted to make them my Super Bowl pick.
Yeah. For
the AFC. And now they're just not in the playoffs. And the true element of Team Cast, there's our MO and why we named ourselves Team Cast Productions, why we named ourselves Team Cast Productions is because we like the messy. We like the fucking strange. The Jaguars beating the Colts sent all of that chaos to the forefront to lead to our game of the week of this fucking everyone rooting for a tie.
Yes.
Everybody, except for Steelers fans. Rooting for a tie.
Yeah, let's set that stage up real quick, because this is all happening with the Colts, and the Colts end up losing that game and just being completely embarrassed by the Jaguars. And they're basically out to pasture, but Steelers or Ravens playing Ravens. If the Ravens won, I think the Colts still were in it. But ultimately,
they still had a chance, yeah.
Yeah, but ultimately, it was the Steelers with one nice pass from Ben Roethlisberger, and just one, though. And then a defensive effort that ultimately, I think, ended up paying off for the Steelers. That pushed them over the edge, and that got them in a overtime victory over the Ravens. That was an interesting game to watch as well. So that set the stage then for this Chargers-Raiders tie. And in, I would say it was, the middle of the third quarter. And honestly, I forget what was happening. I think I was on call with Kelsey and Anthony. I think we were playing Skyrim. And I was kind of, distracted from the game, but I kind of looked up, and I saw the Raiders were leading 2 scores. I was like, okay, so it seems like the Raiders are going to move on. It seems like it's just going to, everything's just going to fall flat, whatever. Justin Herbert, man.
Yep.
This dude sucks. It just sucks. I was gonna say it's a spoiler, but I'm like, you guys know what happened. But it sucks that we're not gonna see this guy in the playoffs, because those 2 drives were such a masterclass. Mainly, obviously the last drive before overtime, but it was this grinded out. Despite the mistakes, despite just how slow it all felt, they were able to grind out the clock and make these 2 drives really, really matter to get back into the game. Herbert had some amazing throws on 4th and 10 multiple times. It was just amazing. And then they get it, they tie up the game, and then the overtime happens. And I'll let you, Matt. What happens in overtime here?
So we get to the end. We get to the tie situation, and both teams know, obviously, if you tie, you still go to the playoffs. It was as the Chargers were going for whether it's go for 2 or go for the extra point. You go for the extra point to get to overtime because you tie. And then the Raiders kick a field goal, which means overtime is still happening. And then the Chargers are held to a field goal. You have no fucking idea how bad I was cheering when the Chargers kicked that field goal.
Yeah.
Because there was no time left. The Raiders started running the fucking clock out. And then the Chargers called the timeout to get their run defense on the field. The run defense, which gave up a 10-yard run to Jonathan Taylor, which let the Raiders kick a game-winning field goal to knock the... What? Josh Jacobs, yes, sorry.
Yeah, that's okay.
What did I say?
You said Jonathan Taylor, but that's okay. It's Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah, Josh Jacobs.
We can't give up on Jonathan Taylor yet.
No,
it's
Jonathan
sad
Taylor,
that we lost him.
Yes, please. Draft him first overall in your fantasy drafts next year. Christian McCaffrey will get injured. That's my public service announcement. Anyway. Josh Jacobs, 10-yard run. They kick the field goal. And I love that the Onion political cartoon picture of sickos has been circulating.
Yes.
Because this was the game for sickos, and the sickos did not get what they wanted in the end. I said to Chris, or I said to multiple people, if that game had ended in a tie, it would have been my favorite football game of all time.
Yeah.
Because of not just the game itself, because the game itself was fantastic, but all of the extended circumstances that led to it was unmatched by anything that I've ever witnessed. It was amazing.
Yeah, I think you said it perfectly. It's so wild. It was just a wild thing because it was just like, man, this is happening. This is real. This is a scenario that we were just like, oh, that would be interesting. That would be fun to see. But none of us thought it would get to this point because obviously the Jaguars were the ones that set it all up. We did not think the Jaguars would beat the Colts, and yet here we are. And it came so close. I think I was on the side of I wanted the tie to happen because that would just be what was great for the chaos point of view. I get what happened, though. I get where the Raiders were coming from on the end. Everything was kind of weird at the end of the game because people were like, "Oh, did the Raiders change their strategy because the Chargers called a timeout?" And I was like, I don't think that was the case. They maybe changed it, their game plan, like any team would change a game plan if the other team took a timeout. Like that always happens in football. I think what happened there was more that they were going to run the ball no matter what and try to get into field goal range. And regardless of whether or not they were. I think no matter what was going to happen, I think Daniel Carlson was going to be like jogged out, even if it was like a 70-yard field goal. Like I think that they would have at least attempted it as the clock expired, no matter how it ended up happening. It was just that the Chargers' run defense, which has been the story for them this entire season, was not good. And letting another 10-yard play, whatever it was, go for Josh Jacobs and letting him get into field goal range and put Carlson in a position to kick the field goal, that was the straw that broke the camel's back for the Chargers, which really, really, it's a bummer because, again, this offense was so much fun to watch with Justin Herbert. You would like to have seen Chargers make it, but give credit to the Raiders, man. They what a season for them. But
for sure. And now they get to face the Bengals instead of the Chiefs.
Well, yeah, and that was my other point too. I was like, I get the idea of just kneel it out and you guys both make it to playoffs and this is no big deal. But the fact that the Raiders were given the leverage that they did, it was like, well, now you have a choice. Do you want to face the Chiefs in the wild card round, or would you rather wait, face the Bengals, maybe have a chance against them, and then face the Chiefs the week after? And I'm not ruling out the Raiders in either of those situations because they're just such a weird team to follow and kind of keep track of. I do want to say that like straight up for the Raiders, what a weird year. The John Gruden stuff was bonkers. And then what happened with Ruggs was just a tragic freaking thing that terrible that he did that what he got involved with. And it just was, and then the the cornerback that they drafted in that same first round as Ruggs that ended up doing something on Instagram that got him cut from the team.
Mm-hmm.
So many things that happened with this Raiders organization that was so chaotic in the worst way, and just so that would crumble any other team and would just bring them down. Give credit to Rich Bisaccia, give credit to Mike Mayock for having drafted this team and built this team, that they still won 10 games. It hasn't looked pretty, but they still did it. Like, it's still amazing that they won the 10 games, and they're the 5th seed of all seeds.
Yeah. Wait, 5th? I thought they were 6.
They're the 5 seed.
Shit.
Yeah, I don't know what tiebreaker they have over the Patriots, but they have a tiebreaker there.
Okay. All right.
And that's
so Bengals are 4 then.
Yes.
All right, I've been doing all my math wrong from some very strange assumptions.
No, Raiders are a 5 seed. It's weird.
Cool.
That is so weird because when you think about the 5 seed, you think of a team. You think of it's like the best team.
You think of the Cardinals,
right? Or you think of the fucking Buccaneers last year, and that's the team that won the Super Bowl. Like, like the 5 seed's usually saved for like the best team in the conference to not win a division. And the fact that it's the Raiders, it's like, wow, this feels like a 7 seed more so. But I don't know, man. It's wild. The whole thing was wild. And game of the year and chaos of the year, I think, for Colts and Jaguars. And shout out to Steelers, Ravens. Shout out to 49ers, Rams as well. All those games. It was one of the best weeks of football I've seen. It was just it was phenomenal. And just to kind of like handle our business here, our last blowout of the week for week 18 was Cowboys Eagles. That was not much to say there. Yeah, Eagles sat almost all their starters. Like, it's whatever. Yeah. Cowboys took care of business. They needed to do what they gotta do. So that's that. All right, turn the page now to Monday. Now we get the head coaching firings. And we're going to start, Matt, with your team, the one that we had been expecting. And that is Matt Nagy is out as Bears head coach. And on top of that, Ryan Pace is out as Bears general manager. A completely clean house in Chi-Town. Matt, give me your thoughts.
I am excited for the future. I hope they don't fuck it up again. I really think Nagy for 2018. That was a magical season. I thought it was. I was having so much fun, and it didn't work out in the long run. But I hope that Nagy and a general manager who does better with their draft picks. Not that Ryan Pace definitely like shot for the stars, but holy shit, did he miss? So I'm hoping Fields was one last hit that we can take on to this next era, and I hope that we can get a good head coach and a good GM to surround him and this still very, very great defense with the right people.
Yeah. First of all, I want to apologize if you guys are hearing my neighbor has decided to rev his engines in the background here.
You know what that means.
You know. He's just flopping that deck all over the place, you know what I mean?
Yep.
Just want to show that thing off. It's...
You know what's crazy, though, Chris?
What?
It was 2018 when you and I were both looking forward to our brand new head coaches.
Yeah.
But yours was 2 coaches ago.
I know. Yeah, well, yeah. We'll talk about that in a second.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I will say... Okay, oh, thank God he's driving away. I think with the Bears, this is the best thing that they could have done. And I think, you know, I know they've had Ryan Pace there forever. I mean, at least as long as I've been a football fan, it feels like Ryan Pace has been the general manager of that team. I don't know like how many seasons exactly he did. I think it was like probably since like 2013, 2014.
About then, yeah.
But he's super he was just a member. It was a memorable run for them. It was in the best ways and it was the worst ways. The Mitch Trubisky thing was an all timer. It was just one of those trades that I remember that day. I remember just your text when you were about to go on stage for a concert.
that was the wildest night of my life. not really, not really, but
not really, but no, it was just still like we just remember that moment being like, okay, this is weird. They just signed Mike Glennon of all quarterbacks, but it was. And obviously that was like universally panned years later, and about that was not a good trade. The fact that his tenure ends essentially with another trade up for a quarterback for Justin Fields, who looks promising, obviously there's still he has to go through the rookie stuff this past year, but there is something to be said there, and I think that's kind of where this job is attractive. Like, yes, I know there's a lot of people that aren't happy with like even the ownership structure with Chicago right now, where you have George McCaskey and Ted Phillips. Like, those guys are just you're not happy with the way that they conducted that press conference after they fired those guys, and it's definitely a family run operation that hopefully they're not going to just continue making mistake after mistake, because otherwise who knows if you'll kind of come out of it unless they finally sell the team. But I think that what should attract people with this job is that you do have a quarterback of the future, which is for some of the other teams that have openings right now, you can't have a definitive way of saying it. In fact, I unless you look at like the Raiders, and then, I mean, if you want to count Kirk Cousins as a viable quarterback situation with the Vikings, like I feel like the Bears have like a really, really good quarterback situation, and that is a foundation that a general manager could build upon. The only issue though is that you don't have a first round pick this year, and that kind of is a rough start, but you'll see what kind of goes down. Do you have optimism for the future with the Bears, or is it kind of like you're in like this kind of like you're not entirely sure about what's gonna happen over the next like year or two?
Yeah, I've definitely got optimism. I think that whoever we get is going to be good with who's left. Like, I think that someone like, and we'll talk about it in a second, Brian Flores with a good OC. Sign me the fuck up.
Yeah. Yeah. I think the big thing though for both for we have multiple teams here that have open general manager positions. Like, the key is going to be getting a good builder, and then I think that's going to be key. But then if you get a head coach that's willing to work with the general manager, and that you can have the head coach who is the offensive guru, or the offensive guru as the offensive coordinator. Like, there's a lot that could be worked on there. There's some people that aren't like rating the Bears high on the job list. I think the Bears are.
I think
a decent
Bears
job.
are definitely so. There's 6 of them. The Bears are in the top half for sure.
Yeah. Seven, of the 7,
Broncos might be the only one that I can think of initially. The Broncos, maybe Dolphins, would be the only ones that I would say, hey, they might be better than the Bears, but Bears have so much like growing potential, and you could really make it your own.
Yeah.
While also still having a good foundation.
Yeah. We'll see. It is early enough where we don't really have a good idea of who the favorites are for a lot of these jobs. There is one favorite coming out from the Broncos, and we'll talk about that in a bit. So we don't know for sure. But yes, when you bring up Brian Flores, that is a guy I keep on hearing as like people wanting to peg with the Bears, because that feels like a good fit. We'll talk about the Dolphins in a second, because that was a surprise move. But I do think I have to owe it to myself that at least we talk about the Giants here.
Let's talk about the New York Football Giants.
New York Football
and the judgment
Giants
that they have delivered.
Yeah. So this was a brutal wait, because on Monday, Gettleman announced his retirement. which feels like he shouldn't even have deserved, to be honest. Like, I feel like, I mean, obviously, yeah, like, retire when you want, right? But, like, it's, I don't know, it should have been a firing. With the job that he did. Like, that was my biggest thing. Like, when he got hired, I don't even know if I was a fan of it the moment it happened. I think I was just maybe tentatively optimistic, like maybe like, all right, well, he did have that run with the Panthers, maybe things could work out. But
I remember both of our responses being, sure, okay, why not?
Yeah, right, yeah, like I don't think it was like this, like, oh my god, hire. It was just like, whatever, and it kind of ended up being like that. It was like, and even to the point where it was just like, the joke became that he just wanted the hog mollies on the defensive line, and that was about it. That's all he wanted to contribute to the franchise in any way. And so in that regard, I feel like he has put this team in a really, really bad spot, and you can make the argument that he has put the coaches in a bad spot, both Shermer and Judge, with the way that he drafted over the years. Now, that initially, if you were to talk to me back in like November, I would have been like, I just want Dave Gettleman gone. If they want to keep Joe Judge for another year, I'm fine with that. Whatever, like, that's fine. But then the last few weeks happened, and that, my opinion, quite changed on Joe Judge. He was a little bit more weird than I thought. And I think it kind of stems from the press conference where he kind of went on about the, everyone wants to play here. We have a great culture here. Everyone wants to play for the New York Giants, and filled with like weird cliches and weird shit. Just weird shit. And then the 3rd and 9 call this past Sunday, where instead of like actually trying to play for the first down, down 3 points, he decides to run a quarterback sneak when you're not even close. Like, and then like the argument's like, we want to set up our punter. Really, on a 3-point game when you're in your own, like, this tenure went from just being like, all right, we've had a rough hit of injuries, the Giants. The Giants, they've had a bad luck with injuries. You can't put that on Judge. He's just trying his best to get through. But no, this is now you're entering territory that this is running on a course of incompetence. And come the end of Sunday, for sure, this past Sunday, I was just like, they have to get rid of Judge, and it's just for the sanity of the situation. They just have to get rid of Judge. And Mara kind of came out in a press conference on today, and he kind of made it seem like he still felt like Judge could be a head coach, but he looked at the current situation that the Giants were in, where they were looking for a general manager, and not only that, but they're also trying to get a coveted offensive coordinator to help, Daniel Jones, I guess. But they were just like, this is not going to work, and they ended up firing Joe Judge a day later, which put me in a very anxious spot on Monday, because we were doing something for TCP for on Monday for recording. And I think it was either before or after we were done recording that Matt was asking me, he was just like, yeah, and Judge is still in place. I'm just like, whatever. Like, I felt so dead inside. I was just like, this is what they do. They're gonna hang on to this guy, and they're gonna keep him until the end of the year again, and they're gonna fire him, and then the general manager has to look for a new guy, and it's just, I can't tell you how happy I am that it is a clean slate. I think it is. I'm not saying it's going to be perfect, because I don't trust the owners, and I do think the owners are stuck in this rut of, we are the Giants. We have to keep on following the Giants' way. We need to bring people that have been associated with the Giants in order to keep going forward, because the Giants are perfect and everything is rainbows and gold and blue and red and white. They have this notion that they can't change from the past because the past was so successful. And that's just not something that you can hold on to, because that's just not what the Giants are anymore. The Giants are a bad organization that needs to kind of find its own way again and kind of catch up with the times a little bit in terms of how to build a team and implement, plays and game plans generally that are going to meet a more modern NFL. And I think that cleaning house could be the first step towards that. And based off of the statements that have come out, they seem like they're trying to go outside of their Giants sphere and not go for a Dave Gettleman. I hope it's not Kevin Abrams. Give credit where credit is due. That guy was a great member of the front office during the Giants Super Bowl runs, but I don't need that anymore. We don't need that. We don't need to live in the past constantly. It's ridiculous how much this team wants to hold on to that. It just doesn't make sense. Look for the innovators. Look for people that are actually going to look at the NFL right now and build a team that's going to be able to match up and meet the speed of the NFL teams today. That's where I'm at with the Giants. I'm happy that they cleaned house, but they do have to get it right. It is so important, and they're $19 million over the cap space. It's terrible. It's not a good situation. This is a rebuild. I think the Bears could win next year. I don't think the Giants can. I'm at a point.
I disagree that the Giants could.
Yeah, I don't think the Giants could at all win this year. I've been rambling. Do you have any thoughts about the Giants?
Nah. My take on the Giants is just they're not a good football team. They don't make the right decisions. I hope that for your sake that they can make the right decisions, because they occupy just this space of nothing right now.
Mm-hmm.
And they're not Jaguars Lions bad where you can laugh at them. They're a little bit above that. So it's not even the fun kind of sucky at football.
Fair enough. But that's what I feel like. I agree with you, but I also feel like that has been the biggest problem that I feel like has faced the Giants, is that they have had such an issue realizing how bad they are. And
sure.
Same with like the perception of people even outside the organization. And I'm not gonna sit here and try to like slander the media. I'm not one of those people. But there's people out there who talk about football who tend to put the Giants on a pedestal because of that 30-year run with Parcells and Coughlin and all that. That was like an amazing era for the Giants. That they're like, this is the respectful organization that's going to be able to find its way. I just don't think they're that organization anymore. And
no.
I feel like that's the thing where I feel like today has been so cathartic for me because of the fact that I'm seeing so many people tell it like it is, which is, as one eloquent man put it, the Giants are a clown show. It's just how it is. That is just what that we need to be honest with ourselves. We can't just keep on painting it like, this is a prestigious organization. They'll find a way. It's like, can they? I don't know. Call it like it is. This team is a clown show. They need to figure out a way out of this situation right now. And so I'm hopeful. We'll see how the search goes. We'll check back with me next week, because I'm sure we'll have some news on that front. Let's go through these other firings real quick. The Dolphins. This was the shocker, I think, of this week, where the Dolphins ended up letting go of Brian Flores. It sounded like it's not football reasons. It sounds like it was more so the relationship between Flores and Chris Greer, which is a shame. That kind of, I guess that was just evolving into something that maybe was not tenable anymore. But ultimately, Flores was pushed aside, and Chris Greer was kept around. Even though maybe people might blame Chris Greer more for maybe the Dolphins' struggles than the Flores. What was your take from this?
I was shocked, but looking through it there, I understand it.
Mm-hmm.
Just it being a non-football reason. He'll find a job somewhere. I'm not that worried about him.
Yeah, I think it's not like I don't think what you're hearing really is that like, oh, there's like a personality issue with Brian Flores, which is like,
no.
Whenever you hear those reporting, you kind of roll your eyes, but it just sounds like he just didn't get along with Chris Greer, which, hey, that happens. Humans, there's people that just sometimes don't click and don't get along, and that is something that needs to be addressed, and it kind of sucks when you do have to kind of sacrifice one for the other. I don't know if the right decision was to get rid of Flores over Greer at this point, just because Greer has been around for so long, and
especially when you end the game with winning 8 out of 9 games, almost making the playoffs after your team started.
Yeah, like that's
1-7.
That was the reason for their winning streak, was Flores' way of getting the defense together, especially. I mean, that was his side of the ball, and the Dolphins were one of the more impressive units in the league down the stretch because of the game plan that he ended up forming near the end of the year. Yes, starting 1-7 was terrible, and it looked, I think at that point in the season, we all kind of thought that Brian Flores would be fired. But once you got to the point where you went on this huge winning streak, and then, yes, you dropped one against the Titans, but then you come back the next week, and then, not blow out, but you end up being up 2 scores over the Patriots. Like that's commendable. Like that is so hard to pull off. Like, who cares what your schedule is? Going 8-1 in the NFL is very difficult.
Yeah.
Especially after starting in such a rough spot too. So, yeah, I don't get it. I think Brian Flores will land somewhere, even if it is like a high-profile defensive coordinator position. But I think he'll be one of the head coaches hired. I wouldn't be surprised by that. Vikings, they cleaned house. Mike Zimmer's gone. Rick Spielman's gone. Any thoughts on this?
Yeah, they are a team that are like just on the brink of success. I think that they may have a new quarterback next year. We'll see.
Yeah.
But they are a team that can make that jump over the hump, and they just need an extra kick to get there. Zimmer hasn't been doing it, so let's get someone new in there.
Yeah, I think that Minnesota, I don't know, some people that I was reading some articles about, like, ranking the positions. The people were kind of low on the Vikings, but I don't know, man. It's kind of similar with the Bears, where I'm like, I still feel like you have a lot of talent on this roster, especially like Justin Jefferson,
Dalvin Cook,
Mike Cook, and
yeah.
I mean, if you look at Cousins, and yes, he's a guy that he's so hot and cold constantly, but he seems like he's always good for like a 4,000 yard season.
That's a long ass season.
Yeah, like right, 4,000 years. No, like he always feels like he has like these like weirdly successful years every single year, even if it doesn't feel like that. And because of the guaranteed contract, I don't know how you get out of that.
Yeah.
So I think you are looking at a weird decision this offseason, where they could do like a Osweiler like trade. They could have him start and then draft a quarterback in this draft, but they do have Kellen Mond, but we don't know if Kellen Mond's going to be very good. There's a lot of questions there about quarterback, but I feel like the rest of the roster is in good space, and then you have a new general manager there, you have a good head coach. Like, I don't know, like I feel like this is one of those teams that could bounce back pretty easily. Just because, I mean, they went 9-8. I mean, they're another team that just were in a pretty decent spot that I feel like they could do well, but we'll see. We'll kind of see how the offseason plays out. And last but not least, the Denver Broncos. They were actually the first firing that happened this week, because the Broncos played on Saturday, so they fired Vic Fangio on Sunday. Matt, not a surprise at all.
Yeah, it's unfortunate for him, but it just never came together. And I know he hasn't had a great quarterback play throughout his tenure, but that's not always it. I hope he finds somewhere at least to be like a great DC again.
Yeah, I know that like he had such a great run with the Bears, and you know he has been like one of the more highly coveted defensive coaches out there, and you know, seeing that he had the run that he did with the Broncos, it really was that like he always seemed to have his defense ready, but the offense was always the big problem, and the fact that he couldn't get the right coordinator in and the right quarterback in constantly felt like it was that kind of doomed the Broncos overall. Kind of wild what the Broncos have been through though since their
for sure
2015 they win they go on, they win the Super Bowl with Peyton Manning, then Peyton Manning retires that offseason, and they haven't been back in the playoffs since. Like it feels like anytime there's a Super Bowl champion that you at least see them come back in the playoffs in some capacity the next year. And that did not happen at all for this team. It hasn't happened since. It's wild. I can see this team, like you mentioned earlier, Matt, about like who might be like the highly coveted spots. Yeah, I could see the Broncos being like a pretty decent spot for talent.
If they're able, if the Broncos are able to like get a great head coach and then bring a quarterback over, like if Aaron Rodgers goes to the Broncos, or if for some reason Deshaun Watson's situation gets figured out. Because one thing that I saw speculated was one of the reasons Watson really wanted to go to Miami was because of Flores.
Yes.
So if Watson gets his shit figured out and cleared, Watson goes to the Broncos.
Yeah.
With Flores.
Yeah.
That's a great team there.
Yeah, one of the favorites right now, though, which this is what was interesting to me. The favorite right now, or one of the favorites for the Broncos, is Dan Quinn, which is I think is very very interesting. Going from defensive coordinator to defensive coordinator for your head coach, I think is very interesting. But maybe if Dan Quinn sells it and he has a really good offensive plan, maybe he brings over an offensive coordinator from the Cowboys or wherever. Like he recruits someone really good. Maybe he could have the run that he did with Atlanta, where he made it to the Super Bowl. Who knows? But there you go. That's your head coaching firings. And it has been 2 years since we started Team Chaos Productions, and we would not be where we are today without the help of Anchor. You've heard us talk about it all the time, but let me remind you, this completely free platform gives creators the tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast from your computer or phone. Once done, Anchor will distribute your podcast to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more so you don't have to. You can also make some money on the episodes with no minimum listenership. It's everything you'd ever want in a podcasting platform, so download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Happy podcasting.
What makes Table Party different from other tabletop podcasts?
The music.
The setting.
The characters.
The gore.
A bunch of different games.
The refreshing coldness of ice cream.
The 300-foot-tall squid named Delilah.
The dice rolls.
The horrifying body horror.
The aroma.
The suffering of my players.
Dairy Queen blizzards.
The luxurious plush texture.
The free coupons.
Bad decisions.
And who can we expect?
I'm Kelsey.
I'm Matt.
I'm Gabe.
I'm Walsh.
I'm Chris.
Welcome to the Table Party.
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 And we are back. All right.
You ain't lying. This is a long podcast.
It is a long podcast, but that was a 40. You got a commercial during the 40-minute mark. Here we go. All right. So we've been teasing it for a few weeks now, and it's time for it to happen. Last year we did a fun little thing where we had the mascots for the playoffs, represented in Super Smash Bros. We did the stream with that. That was fun. I mean, I think in the grand scheme of things, I wish there was a little bit. I wish I did a little bit better job with that, but whatever. That's in the past. This, I feel like, is going to be very, very fun. This time around, instead of associating a Smash character with a mascot, we're going to just associate an entire video game with an entire team. And whichever team makes the Super Bowl, wins the Super Bowl, the game that's associated with that team, we are going to stream on twitch.tv/Team Chaos Productions. and it'll be me and Matt and maybe whoever wants to join us, most likely watching me play these games. But maybe we have some co-op games here. Maybe it'll be a me and Matt thing where we play them together. So we have planned a list out of games, and I'm Matt, and just to help you out, I'm gonna copy and paste that into our chat here, for you to kind of look at. And now it is the time for us to assign each game to each of the teams. Here is the games. Here's the list of games. I chose 12 games that I think will be fun, that we are looking forward to playing if they end up making it. And I picked 2 games that are either questionable or we know for a fact is going to be a rough fucking time. Alright, so let's start with the good ones at least. So this is in alphabetical order here. A Way Out, BioShock, Celeste, Dishonored, Fallout New Vegas, Halo Infinite, Hollow Knight, Ori and the Blind Forest, Outer Wilds, Overcooked All You Can Eat, Pokemon Emerald, and Resident Evil 7. The 2 games that are iffy to bad, we'll start with the iffy one, is Deer Simulator. We'll see.
You have to say Deer Simulator.
Deer Simulator. And then the one that we've been talking about, Balan Wonderworld, is another option here.
Fantastic.
All right, we'll start. We'll bounce back and forth between the conferences, and we'll work our way up.
Okay.
Let's start. AFC 7th seed, Pittsburgh Steelers.
Balan Wonderworld.
Do you feel like the Eagles have a better shot against the Buccaneers than the Steelers do against the Chiefs? Is that what you're
Yes.
Is that what you're basing it on?
Yeah.
I agree with you. I think that's probably the longer shot of the two. So all right, so the Pittsburgh Steelers are getting
because if the Steelers win the Super Bowl, we are being punished as a society, so we are going to continue to punish ourselves by playing Balan Wonderworld.
There you go. That's fair. That's fair. So then we bounce over to the Eagles, the other Philadelphia team, or the other Pennsylvania team, I should say. And the I guess for this one would be Deer Simulator then.
Yes, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, as in terms of the long shots here, unless we feel like I guess the Patriots. No, I don't want to even predict that. No, I think Philadelphia Eagles are the other long shot for this. So there's your 2 long shots. So Philadelphia Eagles are associated with Deer Simulator, and then Balan Wonderworld, Pittsburgh Steelers. All right. Bounce to AFC, 6th seed, New England Patriots. Looking at this list, Matt, what do you anything that sticks out to you that would represent the New England Patriots well?
Okay, so from here on out, we're going by vibes, yeah?
Vibes, yeah, whatever,
Okay,
however you want to make the connection.
Okay. Do we have to go in this order, or can we kind of bounce around and put things where we want them?
We could. I mean, we could. Yeah. However you want to take the segment, we could. If you see a game, and you're like, you know what, this I think associates with this team. You let me know.
Because I'm looking at like Fallout New Vegas. Slap that on the Raiders. Post-apocalyptic.
Yep.
Yeah, they're fans. They're just fucking like that. And Vegas, fucking Vegas.
Yeah, and the
Easy.
Vegas. Yeah.
Easy.
Yeah. That I was thinking about that after I put it there. So Las Vegas Raiders, Fallout New Vegas. All right, cool.
Okay.
Because I don't know, like, I feel like
we could do Hollow Knight for the Titans. Because they're kind of nightly.
So this is the big ones here, right? Because when when we're talking Titans, or we're talking like the higher seeds, you're talking most likely to win the Super Bowl. So you think that you associate Hollow Knight with the Titans? What was the vibes again? I kind of cut you off. I apologize.
Oh, because like knights, Titans have swords.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I'll
we don't
go.
necessarily have to do it that way, but
No, again, however we want to make these connections, I'm with you. I'll go Titans here. I think it would be interesting to play Hollow Knight on street. I don't know how I would do it. It'd probably suck ass on it.
Probably bad. Gonna be honest, you would be very bad.
Yeah, that's okay. It's all right. All right. So then that's that. We have I mean, in terms of the different vibes, we have. we have 2 co-op games, one that's a little bit on the hectic side, one that's a little bit more story driven in terms of Overcooked and The Way Out.
Yeah, I feel like we should put those high.
Yeah, I'm with you on putting them on the higher. I mean, to me, I think Overcooked. I feel like Overcooked is a perfect game for the Packers.
Sure, cheese,
and yeah, they're the only one that's associated completely with food. You know what I mean?
With food, yeah. All right, we can do that. Overcooked with cheese, which is upsetting because I would love to play Overcooked on stream with you.
Well, that
would require the Packers winning the Super Bowl.
That's your reward, at least. So
I don't know if that's a reward. I think it's a consolation prize.
I guess so, but it's a way for you. You have to deal with the suffering of a Packers Super Bowl season, but you get to play Overcooked, which is a game that you really like, and I haven't really gotten super into. So all right. But I don't know. It could be a good time.
All right, yeah, sure, that's fine.
Yeah,
let's do it.
All right, so the 1 seeds are now Hollow Knight and Overcooked. All you can eat. A Way Out. Honestly, I don't really have like a direct association here, but if we're trying to think about putting this game high, this could be a good one that you associate with the Chiefs.
Sure.
Make it easier on us here. So A Way Out.
Yeah.
Kansas City Chiefs. We'll get that one. All right. And now, we're kind of working from top to bottom.
All right, Pokemon Emerald, I feel like would be good for something like the Bengals or the Cardinals, because they're the most likely to be a Pokemon.
Right. I mean, so I'm sitting here thinking that the Bengals have a better shot at winning the Super Bowl right now than the Cardinals.
Yeah.
But my opinion, up to you as well. But I feel like, and this is the one game that we would have to figure out how to emulate. I feel like how about Cardinals for this one?
Sure.
Do you feel like that's a good one? Okay.
Yeah.
So, Arizona Cardinals for Pokemon Emerald.
All right. I had a thought, then I lost it. Let me try to get it back. Oh yeah, Outer Wilds for 49ers. Those vibes kind of gel with me.
Yeah. Like some prospector elements to it.
Yeah.
I like that. Okay.
Where to put Resident Evil, Pirates, Zombies, Buccaneers? I don't know.
But I mean, putting the Buccaneers for that one.
Oh yeah, that's a good point.
Well, I won't hate the idea of it. I'll suck it up for stream. I would try my best with it.
I will say that one might be one of the ones I least enjoy watching you play on this list.
Okay, so then we put it lower. Then we put it lower.
Yeah. Give it to the Patriots.
I'm a little worried about the Patriots, though. I'll be real.
God damn. Who would you give it to then?
Let me see. Who's the sixth seed for the NFC's 49ers?
49ers.
5th seed right now are the Raiders. We already signed the Raiders. What's NFC? Oh yeah, we did Cardinals.
Yeah. Unless you want to move Pokemon over to the Bengals and give this to the Cardinals.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right. So Cardinals are actually will be with the Resident Evil 7, and I think Pokemon Emerald will put Cincinnati Bengals here. I'm down for that.
Yep.
All right. We have left here. We have 5 teams left and 5 games left. BioShock, Celeste, Dishonored, Halo Infinite, and Ori and the Blind Forest.
BioShock. That's kind of nautical. We could give that to the Buccaneers.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
That's a great one. All right. We have our top 2 seeds, I think, taken care of. Yeah, we have the top 2 seeds taken care of.
We need Cowboys, Rams, Bills, Patriots.
Yep. Cowboys, Rams, Bills, Patriots. Dishonored is a sneaky game. I feel like Dishonored I want to give to the Patriots.
Sure.
I don't know why. I'm getting those vibes from it. And in terms of Celeste, I feel like that's a snowy game.
Okay, give that to the Bills.
And I'm like that. I feel like that's associated with them. So we'll go New England Patriots for Dishonored. Celeste gets Buffalo Bills.
And then we have Halo and Ori left.
Yes, Ori and Halo. You have Dallas
and Rams,
Cowboys and the Rams. What connections can we make here?
The Rams have their video board in the stadium is kind of like a Halo.
All right, that's our assessment. All right, cool. All right, Los Angeles Rams goes to Halo Infinite. And Ori and the Blind Forest will be Dallas. Oh, I don't want to associate the Cowboys with the Ori and the Blind Forest.
It's fine.
They're a good team. They're a good team.
Yeah.
All right. There you go. All right. So here we go. Basically, so we have our two teams that we don't think will win the Super Bowl, and if they do win the Super Bowl, then we were punished.
Yep.
It's Pittsburgh Steelers will lead to us playing Balan Wonderworld, and the Eagles winning would be Deer Simulator. But then going through it, Kansas City Chiefs winning will have us play a Way Out. Buccaneers winning will give us BioShock. Bills, Celeste, Patriots, Dishonored, Raiders, Fallout New Vegas, Rams, Halo Infinite, Titans, Hollow Knight, Cowboys, Ori and the Blind Forest, 49ers, Outer Wilds, Packers, Overcooked All You Can Eat, Bengals, Pokemon Emerald, Cardinals, Resident Evil 7. Exciting stuff. Very, very
terrifying stuff.
Terrifying stuff. Who knows? Who knows what could fucking happen here? All right. So there we go. That's our associations. And now, Matt, it is time to go into our picks. And luckily, we do not have to go long with this because we only got 6 games here. But just to kind of do our cleanup here, Matt officially won his second straight pick competition. He did it. Went 11-5 this past week. He got both his guarantee and chaos, got 7 extra points, so he's sitting at 55 points with a 163-108 record to end it all off. I finished with a 160-111 record with 45 points. Ultimately, those guarantees really sunk my ship there. -4 overall I would have at least closed the gap a little bit. Maybe it would have been a 6-point game overall instead of a 10-point game. I did closer though this season. I'll just say that I went 10-6 this past week with both guarantee and chaos getting right. Which I think might have been the first time all season, to be honest. 5 points for this past week. And so, yeah, there you go. Congratulations, Matt. And we will...
Thank you.
We will keep track of how our overall records change going into the postseason. But ultimately, those results stand pat. Those remain the same. No more regular season. All right. Matt, we start off with the 5-4. Las Vegas Raiders at Cincinnati Bengals on NBC at 4:30 p.m. What are your thoughts?
It's hard to pick between these teams. I think this is one of the closest ones, I think. A few of these were really close for me. I need to believe in the Bengals. I really like their offense. I think that they can light it up. They've had the curse, but their cursed years are in the past now. Marvin Lewis isn't the coach anymore. I think that Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase can lead this team to a victory. I am kind of strong on the Bengals here.
Yeah, Bengals currently sitting with 30 seasons without a playoff win. Last win was the 1990 wild card round. Raiders sitting at 19 years since their 2002 Super Bowl run, or run to the Super Bowl. At least they didn't win it, but that was the last time that they won a playoff game. So both teams kind of sitting with sitting in the feeling of not having won a playoff game in a long time. So there's going to be a lot of celebration for either of these teams kind of getting over the hump here. I also believe in the Bengals. I'm picking them. I think that this is a team that should be a force to be reckoned with in the playoffs. I know the defense has its issues, but they're just how powerful this offense can be, man. They're they're so dynamic. It's hard for me to fathom the Raiders coming up with a decent game plan to take down the Bengals. I'm not saying it can't happen, but I like this I like this for them. I think that it'll be good for them.
All right. I don't have the order in front of me.
All right. You want me just to keep
next up, we have the Patriots taking on the Bills Saturday night. Another divisional matchup. Who won the first time?
Patriots.
Yeah, so Patriots won once. Bills have won once. I believe both in each other's stadiums.
Yep.
Now we're back in Buffalo. Does that influence how you are picking this game?
No. This is going to be another one of those brutal weather games. As far as I know, it's going to be super duper cold in this game. I don't know about if there's going to be a precipitation or wind or any kind of that sort of thing going on with this. This might be the hardest game to pick this week. I mean, there's a few of these that are pretty difficult. I think that the Bills have been a bit weird since their win over the Patriots. Really kept it close against the Falcons. Really kept it close against the Jets. Kind of uncomfortable with both situations there. Patriots lost to the Dolphins, though. Patriots, I think, have lost like 4 of their last 6, I think, like something like that. So they've been struggling. So both teams are kind of iffy overall. I don't know. This is the last matchup I wanted to see the Bills have to face, though, because I just feel like in this circumstance you have, and granted, Bills do have playoff experience now, but you have a guy in Bill Belichick who's just so hard to get out of the postseason when he's there. I mean, we saw it most recently in 2019 where the Titans were able to knock them out, but I don't know. I'm gonna go with the Patriots just because I feel like this is kind of where it's heading. It's just I'm getting bad vibes for this game for the Bills. I wanted to see the Bills go all the way. I just feel like this is the worst matchup that they pulled.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the Bills. I believe in them a little bit more, at least more recently. Mac Jones is gonna have postseason jitters, as good as Belichick's defense is gonna be. I worry about Mac Jones immediately in the playoffs, so I'm going Bills here, but it's not super strong.
Yeah, no, that's valid reasoning too. All right, so that is your Saturday. Next up, Sunday, a triple header here, starting with the 1:00 game on Fox between the Philadelphia Eagles and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Matt, you and I already kind of dubbed that the Eagles may not win this game here. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I think the Buccaneers are going to have this pretty handily. The Eagles have been extremely surprising over the stretch, and if they won this game, this would be the chaos of all chaoses, I think.
Yeah.
Well, no, there's one more because the Steelers and Chiefs play, but I'm gonna stick with the Buccaneers. They will be a better team without Antonio Brown, I hope. I mean, he played well for them. I don't know.
Yeah, that's the rough part about it. I feel like if you're going to make an argument for the Eagles, it would be more of an argument against the Buccaneers at this point, where they've struggled in the last few weeks for sure. That Jets game,
they still were able to do well against Carolina, though.
Well, again, yeah, especially in the later half of the games. It's the fact that they are having these really, really slow starts, and then they kind of bring it out at the end. That has kept them in it, and I think that's a good thing. I worry about the Buccaneers long term because of the injuries to Chris Godwin, and I don't know if they're going to have Leonard Fournette back this week. I don't know.
That's a good point.
I don't know if they're going to have Levante David. There's a lot of big time players for this organization that they had last year on their Super Bowl run, and I don't know if they're going to have. Definitely not Godwin, but I don't know if they're going to have the other guys later on. I mean, because now what you have is Mike Evans and then a few guys that, Brady has dealt with worst over his career. He's in terms of wide receiver depth. So
for sure,
it's not a terrible situation, but I just a little worried about the viability long term. All that said, I'm just giving the argument that maybe the Eagles could have a chance in this game, but I don't think it's going to happen. I'm going Tampa Bay as well.
All right. Who did you pick, Buffalo or New England again?
I picked New England.
Okay, so we split there.
Yes.
But pretty good. Okay. Next up is the Nickelodeon game, 49ers versus the Cowboys. 49ers come into the playoffs over an insane comeback win against the Rams. Cowboys dropped... Did the Cowboys have 50 against the Eagles?
Close, I think.
Close.
Yeah.
Anyway, Cowboys just drop insane numbers of points 2 out of 3 of the last weeks, and then also don't play well another week. They are a very up and down team. 49ers have found a lot of consistency at the end. Were able to win their way into the playoffs. How will this matchup go on Nickelodeon?
Yeah, well, I mean, luckily for people, there is a CBS feed if you don't want to do the Nickelodeon feed.
It's not the true broadcast.
Right, exactly. But no, it is the Nickelodeon game. What a football game this is. I think this is my favorite of the week. This is, I think, going to be the closest matchup. I think that you could see it go either which way. You have, the Dallas offense, this high power offense that we felt like was going to be more consistent. It hasn't really been that consistent lately. But that's going to be going up against a 49ers defense that's notoriously good. Fred Warner, obviously, and all that crew has been very, very good. And then flip side of it, you get a solid running game and Deebo Samuel going up against
Deebo's nuts. Oh my god.
Micah Parsons and Trayvon Diggs and all the defensive players that the Cowboys generally that has been their more consistent part of them has been the Cowboys. So it's a really good matchup for a rivalry that is known for years of contentious battles in the 90s especially, and before that, 80s definitely too.
Yeah,
I think that this is a hard one to pick. I'm going to lean 49ers. I think that the Cowboys are destined to be offed in some capacity by a team. And I just feel like Kyle Shanahan and this 49ers team, I know that they barely got into the playoffs, but I just feel like this was a bad draw for the Cowboys overall. I think the 49ers have the momentum, and I think they're going to do it. I like the 49ers in this matchup.
This is such a hard one. This is the one year that I'm going to be fucking riding the Cowboys train. I'm going to stay on it.
Okay.
I don't know if the 49ers' success can last all the time, and this could be an on game for the Cowboys, could be an off game. Who knows? We won't find out yet. So I'm gonna go with the Cowboys.
Yeah. No, I think it's gonna be a really, really good game. I think it's gonna be. I'm very, very excited about this one. Next up, Steelers at Chiefs, the NBC game. 8:15 p.m. This is the Steelers got into the playoffs. They willed it. They got in, and thanks mainly to the Jacksonville Jaguars and to the Chargers and Raiders for not tying. Thank you, Daniel Carlson. For the on behalf of the Pittsburgh fans, I guess. But guess what? Guess what your gift is going up against a Kansas City Chiefs team that's kind of hard to stop right now. What do you think is going to happen here, Matt?
This was the easy one. I picked the Chiefs.
Yeah, I picked the Chiefs too. If you had to make an argument for the Steelers, it's the defense. That's really it. The offense has just been so bad this year for the Steelers that it's not going to win them a game unless you get like that one throw that like seals it or something. But the only threat that I think to the Kansas City Chiefs in this game is T.J. Watt.
And only him.
Really, yeah. I mean, and I do think the defense as a whole is going to be a tough out, but it's the Chiefs. They've been here before, and they're in good shape. So I'm going Chiefs as well.
All right. And our Monday night game, it is another rematch between the Cardinals and the Rams. Man. Cardinals maybe getting... So Funny thing is, both teams are getting a player back. Cardinals likely getting J.J. Watt back. Rams signed Eric Weddle today.
Yeah, that was wild. That was a weird one. I like it.
Uh-huh. So, who's going to finally come out on top?
Yeah, this is another one of those division games where you had a split during the regular season. You get the tiebreaker here, like with the Patriots Bills. Cardinals just have been so rough, man. They had the really nice win against the Cowboys, but it's just been so much inconsistency on both sides of the ball. In a way, they peaked so early and then just have been on a downward trajectory. It's just so weird. It's so amazing. This is like the second year in a row this has happened to the Cardinals, where you have this team that looks like that, it's going to be a pretty solid playoff team, and this one looked like they could be a 1 seed. And then the Kyler Murray injury happened, but then they played well with their backups, and they sat him for a long period of time so they could get him back, and then kind of pick off from where they left off. But where they left off, they just never reached that point again. And I feel like with the Rams, that's another team that's so inconsistent and so weird. This is a hard one too, Matt.
It sure is. I told you it was hard before, and you said, "What do you mean?"
Yeah, I know. Because now I'm looking at it now. I'm like, oh man, wait a second. Yeah, this is rough. I'm going to go with the Rams just because I feel that this Rams team is found a little bit of identity, even though they're still inconsistent. I don't know. Like I feel like Stafford he will have his moments where he kind of turns the ball over, but at the same time he has these really, really great throws, and Kupp is so fucking good, and Donald's so fucking good. There's too much talent with this Rams team as a whole that I just feel like I don't think that they could get out against a Cardinals team that has just been sluggish overall. But it's a division game, and I feel like division games that you throw everything out the window. So I don't know. What do you think?
I'm going with the Rams as well. I think that they, despite their inconsistency, they're going to be solid for a lot of the playoffs at least, and hopefully McVay can coach them far. That's what I'm hoping.
Yeah, definitely. What a great week for football, man! I'm excited. This is going to be a really, really good start.
Oh yeah, me too. I'm looking forward now that since the Bears are not in the playoffs, I do not have to watch any games with dread.
Right.
And by that I mean the Bears would be the only team I would watch dreading.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Pretty much. That's the one time I've experienced a Giants playoff game. It was not great. It was the boat.
It was pretty bad.
That was the boat game. It was not great.
Yep. How they doing since that picture? Like every fucking NFL meme account posts.
Oh man, it's right.
You're not original anymore, guys. Sheen, this is the sixth time you've shared the boat picture.
See, I don't know. Maybe I put that picture in the muted words for Twitter because I haven't gotten it in a while. But I'm happy about it because that shit's triggering for me. I'm just like, oh my god. I remember I literally laid in bed with my lights off after that playoff game, and I was so fucking frustrated with that team. It was so bad. It was so bad.
It was bad.
Yeah. All right. Before we wrap everything up, Super Bowl picks. Now that we know the playoff slate, we go through it and we make our picks. Do you want to start, Matt, or should I?
I'll start.
Sure. All right.
I may have some weird ones.
Hit me with it. I'm down for weird.
Do you want those to go first or second?
You know what? I'm pretty rock chalk, so I'll go first then.
Okay, cool. Cool.
I have Titans over Packers in the Super Bowl.
Damn, 1 seeds, dude.
Yeah, I know. I went through it and I was just like, this is you. But you know what it is about the Titans? I they're a team that you have at least expected to get a 1 seed out of, like, not like when the season was happening. I think we kind of started to see that happening, but like you never really saw the Titans as a 1 seed before. And I just feel like getting this extra time here and getting AJ Brown and getting Derrick Henry,
Julio Jones will be healthy.
Yeah, like, I don't know, man. And this defense has been playing so well, and this is like running weather, and this is the type of stuff that I feel like the Titans could be really, really good at. I just really like the Titans in this stretch run here. I mean, I know the Packers pick is a throwaway. It was, for me, it's I don't really trust any other NFC team outside the Packers right now.
The Packers are the only consistent ones.
Yeah, so I know it's rock chalk, and I know I do like going weird, but this one it just feels like this. If there's going to be, despite all the chaos, if this has to be a chalky year, just to see the Titans win a Super Bowl, because that's just fun. That's a new team at least. Yeah. I'll go rock chalk for this one.
Okay. I actually agree with you on the Titans one. This is the least number 1 seed Titans team I've ever fucking seen.
Or just in general 1 seed. It's just
the least one. number one seed team. You get it. So I really like them. I think that just how well they're coached. They will be good. Yeah. It will be good for them. And then my NFC pick is the Rams.
Oh, okay. I'm surprised. I thought you were going to go Cowboys. I'm surprised by that.
Yeah, I don't know. Like it was between the Rams or the Cowboys. I would be okay with both of them. But I think the Rams, this type of season is not one that you can expect anything.
Yeah.
And I think that the Rams can put together some good games down the stretch. Mm-hmm. I'm still not obviously sounding that sure of myself, but sure. I think they can put down some good games down the stretch, end up winning. It's going to be a greatest show on turf rematch.
Yeah, yeah.
With the Rams winning, by the way.
You have the Rams winning this one.
Yep.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's one of those things with this NFC. The NFC is just fascinating just in general because I feel like you do have a lot of these teams. They're kind of like powerhouses, and I feel like I even though I'm picking the Packers to make it to the Super Bowl because I think that they're the most consistent. I still think if you had all of these teams in their best day, I don't know if the Packers necessarily win those games. Because I think Cowboys are super talented. We've said that since the beginning of the season. And if all of those pieces work together really well, they're a Super Bowl contender. I think the Rams, in theory, if you have all that talent, you'd think it would be more consistent. You would think they would win more games. Obviously, that has not been the case, but if they all work in tandem, this could be absolutely a contender. And the Bucs and Tom Brady, like, that's going to be a tough out, of course. And I guess, I don't rule out the Cardinals. I certainly don't rule out the 49ers either.
No.
And hey, if the Eagles win against the Bucs, who knows? Maybe they're gonna just be that weird. That put on the dog masks again. Like maybe they're just gonna be that weird underdog that could make the stretch run here. But NFC is so much more interesting to me. I think right now for this playoff because I think anything can really happen. Where I think that, and I think the AFC anything can happen there too. But I don't know. I feel like it might be between Tennessee and Kansas City and maybe Cincinnati.
Cincinnati would be my when I was the biggest Jaguars fan a few years ago. That's how I feel about Cincinnati this year.
Yeah. I think when it's all said and done, I think maybe if we get past this divisional round and the Bengals are still alive, I'm gonna be right there with you of oh my god, this Bengals team. It would just be so insane for the Bengals to make the Super Bowl. That would be such a great one. So we'll see. My hope is that we get two teams that haven't won the Super Bowl making the Super Bowl. That would be my grand hope.
Yeah.
And obviously that is probably going to be hard to achieve, but we'll see what happens. And that is the Wild Card Predictions Podcast. What a fucking run. All right, so next week is your divisional round. We'll see which teams make it. Now we're in the playoffs, so anything can happen, and who knows what next week's going to look like. We'll probably have more coaching news. My prediction is that Coley's going to get fired, but I hope that's not the case, and I also don't... it's not certain it will be the case.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll talk more about coaching news. I'm sure that you're going to get some general manager hires as well, so we'll talk about that when it comes next week. It will be really, really interesting. But outside of that, thank you all so much for listening. And we got a lot of podcast stuff. You guys can find our TC at Team Chaos Pods. You'll get all of our work there. But we got a lot of stuff happening with on that front. So stay tuned for more great content from us.
Hell yeah!
Thank you all so much for listening, and we will see you next week.
Good night and good ball. Virtual Ball Boys has been brought to you by Team Chaos Productions. Find us on Twitter at Virtual Ball Boys and find more of our work at Team Chaos Pods.